What's up you guys and welcome back to another Reddit reading video. Today we're going to be doing r/ProRevenge. And I can already tell this is going to be a good one. It has 3 platinums, 5 golds, and 4 silvers. This is going to be a beautiful, magnificent piece of art. Now let's just jump into it. Entitled Gossipy Witch sabotages my totally legal romantic relationship with my former teacher, ruins her career, and runs us both out of town. How about I destroy yours and your entire family's whole life? Lady. Insert obligatory throwaway account explanation. It applies. I come from a really small town. Think the lidless, most nothing happens here city, extended layover in your flyover state nightmares. And my hometown is even more quiet than that. Think half a mile or more between neighbors, a single main street downtown, 1 McDonald's, 1 department store, 1 movie theater with 3 screens where everyone goes there Friday and Saturday night. Church every Sunday, everyone knows everyone else, or at least knows their business. The whole city is invested in the fortunes of the high school football team, that sort of place. Graduating class of 60, not because the senior class was dumb, it was just a tiny school. I didn't really fit in at school, and kinda was a loner by choice. I cringe about it now that I am almost 26, but I was a wannabe emo goth rocker. I still got invited to a party with other kids, not because they liked me necessarily, but because I just wanted as many people to invite. My mom baked cookies and cakes for church, and when she wasn't doing that, she cut her hair in the town's one salon. My dad owned an internet cafe for a while when those were hot. Once everyone in our little nowhere town got Wi-Fi, he turned it into a tax service. Business is always slow because most people did their own taxes, but he didn't really depend so much on his business. He served 20 years as a petty officer in the Navy, and so he and my mom got by on his pension. In high school, I worked at a private burger place that competed mostly unsuccessfully against the town's single chain fast food restaurant. My boss always told me I should ask my mom to cut my hair and to stop looking like a dang girl. No thanks, old man. So with all this boredom everywhere, you can imagine that the sensation Miss Amber Fontaine caused when the high school hired her to be the 11th and 12th grade English teacher. Miss Fontaine was of French extraction and had moved to America in her later teens to go to college in New York. She was only 24 and very beautiful. She spoke perfect English, but did so with a very pleasant accent. Obviously, all the guys loved her, and lots of women hated her. She appeared oblivious to all the attention, however, and just stuck to her job. Really, we didn't know too much about her. She mostly kept to herself, and nobody ever saw her hanging out with any men in town. And it wasn't for lack of men's trying. It soon became clear that she wasn't into dating any of the men in her city had to offer. Much later, I found out that she had just taken a job in our small town to gain experience, with the future goal of being a college professor in a big city. A sort of a 2-year plan. Obviously, I had a crush on her. We all did. It was still a small, church-going town, so nobody really acted out on his urges, or tried to harass her or anything like that. As guys, we talk about how hot she was amongst ourselves. Usual locker room stuff teenage boys do, but that was it. My one real out of school experience with Miss Fontaine was when she stopped by a burger joint I worked at and saw me working there. She told me I had a nice smile and that she wished I smiled more because in school I was always frowning because I was in my emo everyone sucks phase. When the food preppers came up with her food and handed it to me to give to her, I was impressed and not at all surprised that she ordered a salad. She didn't strike me as someone who ate the greasier slop we sold here. In school, the following Monday she smiled at me in the hall and I smiled back. She said, "You're learning," but not in a condescending or patronizing way, just a fun, kidding way, and I exchanged a smile with her every time after. And that was the extent of my great high school romance with Miss Fontaine. Exchanged a few hellos and smiles during my senior year when I was 17. Things changed the following year though. I was 18 and still working at the burger joint when Miss Fontaine comes into the restaurant. "Oh, hey, OP," she says, and she asks with real seriousness, "Are you going to college?" I tell her the truth. I'm working with my band. I cringe about this period of my life too. Playing guitar and saving money for community college. Only sort of the truth about the last thing. Honestly, most of my money I spent on weed and ecstasy. I was the main vocalist in addition to being the guitarist, and our band's only other member were Jerry, the bassist, and Gabe, the drummer. Both of them were just out of high school, like me, and like me, they had no plans to go to college. Gabe worked at the same burger joint as me, and Jerry, who had been one of my best friends in high school, ironically worked at the chain fast food restaurant down the street from my restaurant. Our lives at this time revolved around wasting our youth, skateboarding, getting high, and playing our punk band. We like to think that we played an emo punk metal fusion, but looking back, our sound hasn't aged well. Miss Fontaine tells me that now she's in her second year of teaching, she has a better sense of how to do things. She tells me that she wished that her current students were as well behaved and put as much effort as me. I earned mediocre grades throughout high school, but consistently earned an A in English because I like to read. She says she'll see me around. A few days later, she comes into the restaurant again, and we get to talking, and she asked me if I'd like to go to the movie. I can tell she's bored because there's really no one her own age to hang out with in our town. Or if there are, they're all lame. I think we both get the feeling that it's natural we should hang out. And now I was completely out of high school, and she wasn't my teacher, and we were both adults. By this time, I was newly 18 and she had just turned 25. Why not? So that's how it started. We met up in the early evenings, totally innocent, and go to the movies. Or to dinner at the one good restaurant in town. Miss Fontaine was cool about letting me slide when it came to paying for our dates because she knew I made minimum wage. It was actually me who started to push our relationship to the next level. After a while, I started to hold her hand when we walked places. And finally, we started kissing. Never in front of anyone. She taught me a lot of French words and phrases over the next summer and fall. While we were going out, my parents knew I was sort of dating my former teacher, but since it was keyword former, they didn't really raise any stink about it. Miss Fontaine would always try to convince me to go to college, but she did see our band play a few times when we got a rare gig at a roller rink, and she was nice enough not to tell us what she really thought of us. We didn't have sex until we'd been dating casually for nearly 2 months. That was my idea too, but she admitted that she really liked me and she wanted it to happen ever since we reconnected earlier that year, after I had graduated. I'm not the kiss and tell type, but my bandmates sort of knew the dynamic in my relationship with Miss Fontaine. She had been Amber ever since we first made out. They appeared cool with it. I stopped doing so much dope and really begun putting money away to save for college. The JC near my house was super cheap. Amber would often tell me she thought about applying there for work, but said that she really wanted to move to West Coast or back to the East Coast to teach at a college. Eventually, she told me she'd like me to come with her. After a few months, I was in love with Amber, and she was in love with me too. She said, we didn't throw our relationship in people's faces or show public affection, but it's not like we pretended not to know each other either. Amber had come around the house and my parents really liked her and thought she was a great influence on me. I didn't expect to cut my hair, but I was neater and more presentable. And eventually, I really did begin enrolling in GE classes at my local 2-year. But then, things went downhill fast. Out of seemingly nowhere, Amber got a call for a meeting from the local school board. And this is my secondary account of the situation, as Amber was the one there, not me. There have been reports that she was dating a former student, romantically. They were talking about me, and that she was having sexual relationship with said student while he was still a minor and still attending high school. Of course, she denied everything. Of course, they believed nothing. She had sent me a desperate text, and since ours is a small town, I think I've mentioned that a couple times already, I was at the meeting in literally 10 minutes. I told him the truth, that I was in Miss Fontaine's class in 12th grade, and that I was her student. That was all. I told the truth that we were reconnected several months after graduation, and only then did we begin dating. And I was over 18. The opinion of the board was essentially, look son, we appreciate the noble effort you're making to defend your friend's honor, but we're looking for the truth here, not omissions. I insisted that I was telling the truth and not trying to cover anything up. After a lot of tears, Amber was simply warned that it wasn't becoming of a teacher to be seen with students outside of campus, even if they're former students. And we assumed that was all. We were really wondering who had complained about us, or who would make up the tales about us having sex while I was still a minor and a student of Amber's. I was staying at Amber's apartment by this time. I kicked in a portion of the rent, of course. I had even met her parents, albeit only on webcam. They were good people. They don't speak a lot of English, but Amber filled them in with the recent pieces. They knew my age, and they were cool about it. We assumed it was just a small town gossip, and it would blow over. Boy, were we wrong. Over the next several weeks, Amber's meeting with the school board, vicious rumors started to spread. I won't insult your imagination, you know what people were saying. One day, my boss at the burger joint just told me he had to let me go. Some flim-flam excuse about the store losing money, and my hairstyle was driving away customers. Whatever, dude. Amber told me it wasn't my fault, and she promised to support me when I look for another job. But then one day, she got fired too. She was working as a probationary teacher, it meaning that during her first 2 years, she could be fired for any reason, and actually, no reason had even been given. Explanations were for those who earned the tenure. We both knew why she was getting fired, but the district strongly implied that it was simply because she was an and effective teacher. In her defense, I looked at the data on the district website, and the number of students from our school who did well on standardized tests in her subject area leaped by double-digit points during the time she was a teacher there. Her numbers were far above state average, and to this day, since her departure, the same scores have nosedived. Amber told me that students tended to respond to her and that she was very popular among the students. It was true that she was immensely popular when I was a student, and I'll assume the same carried true to the year after I graduated. Aside from the obvious fact that she was eye candy, she was simply a good teacher, a good person, and that's why the kids liked her. Lots of students threatened to riot when she was fired, but being a non-dramatic, non-attention-seeking person she is, Amber asked them just to focus on their studies and doing well, and helping their new teacher adjust he or she arrived to take her place. My dad told her she ought to sue the district, but Amber didn't want the drama. Besides, she said she was allowed to resign, so that it wouldn't show up on her record as of having been fired. Also, she said that the district promised not to try to revoke her teaching credential. Her own parents suggested maybe she had to come home, to France, but she insisted on sticking it out in America. My parents were cool and they offered to let her move in with us while she figured out her life. She's lucky that her parents are well off because they gave her some money to relocate to California. She asked me please come with her, that she loves me, and that we could start new there. I've always wanted to move to California, so I jumped at the chance. My parents were happy that I was in a relationship with a good person who obviously cared about me and gave us some money too. We got an apartment together in Los Angeles area. Neither of us drove, so we both got bikes to get around. Our new area was a world apart from our old life. Though I know Amber's own teenage years were in Paris, so Los Angeles would have been much of a culture shock to her. I immediately enrolled in a local community college and got a job as a waiter in a popular French restaurant. Our gimmick was that some of the servers actually spoke French. Over the last several months, Amber had taught me a lot of French, so I was a very popular server at the restaurant because I gave it authenticity. Unfortunately for Amber, the school district misled her about teaching license. When they promised not to have her license revoked, they spoke the truth, but they left out the part where they attached an official reprimand to it, accused her of an inappropriate relationship with students under her charge. So whenever Amber applied for teaching jobs, this would immediately come up as a red flag on her applications. Another surprise red flag was that the school she applied to would notice that she was fired from her last job. "No, I wasn't," she'd say. "I resigned." "Yeah, but it says you were forced to resign to avoid termination for cause." Amber was 7 years older than me, but I think in some ways I know a lot more about how nasty Americans can be than her. Everywhere she went, doors would slam career-wise. She appealed to the state teaching license organization and they said they'd look into it, but months later, nothing came up. Calls to her former school resulted in getting a runaround. No one knew anything. So for the next several months, I was paying our day-to-day bills and helping to support Amber. Though I must acknowledge that the loans both our sets of parents gave us helped tremendously, and we couldn't survive without them. Finally, one day, Amber tells me, "You know what? Screw trying to teach public schools. Oh, and OP, I'm pregnant." So 2 pieces of good news. Many months later, Amber and I are happily married. Wedding was beautiful in sunny Los Angeles. Amber's parents and mine and our other families had all attended. We had a pregnant honeymoon in France, and now we have a son, Rechule. I'm closing in on earning my associates in information technology. I've been promoted to maitre at the restaurant and have health benefits for my wife and son. We live in a studio apartment, but at least it's a huge studio. And that's enough for now. Amber stays home with the baby, but she also teaches online English and French courses for a private school. So even though she's blacklisted from teaching in the public K-12 district, she can still teach, which is her passion. More months pass and I got my first job in IT, troubleshooting computers for a small company downtown. I make double what I used to make at the restaurant, and my employer has a program where I can finish my bachelor's while I work, and they will subsidize 50% for free, and the other 50% they will dock from my pay in small monthly installments. Sounds like an amazing deal, and I take it. We moved to a bigger apartment. Amber is making her awesome contribution both as a mother and to our finances with her tutoring. We're planning for her to eventually go back to school for her graduate degrees so she can finally fulfill her dream of teaching in college. Oh, more good news? OP, I'm pregnant again. Life is sweet. So while everything is going awesome, one day, I get a text from my mom. She was at a local school board meeting with her neighbors regarding a bill proposal to hire more teachers. Apparently, over the past few years, the population has grown and the high school needed to expand. So now, it's a 2-horse town, my mom says. While she was at a meeting, my mom ran into Jerry's mom. Jerry was a bassist for my own band that I quit once I got into a serious relationship with Amber. My mom never met Jerry or his mom, or at least in the way that connected them to me. The reason was because I never brought Jerry around our house. Because for a couple years, Jerry was my drug supplier. He had the hookup for anything you wanted. Well, what does all this have to do with anything? My mom doesn't know Jerry's mom, but she hears her and some lady talking about me and Amber. My mom heard them saying that Jerry had been the one to tell everyone about Amber and me supposedly having sex before I graduated. and his mom went straight to the school board. Their names as informers were protected under confidentiality. I had lost touch with Jerry over the years and had stopped playing music with him long ago. I knew he had resented all the time I was spending with my chick. It's a shame because he used to be such a good friend of mine. It sucked that he was getting behind my now wife and mother of my child and soon to be children fired from her career. Jerry's mom was a teacher at Amber's former school of employment. It became a joke of ours that his mom had a huge stick in her butt regarding prim and proper behavior and was a goody two-shoes teacher whose poop don't stink. Yet her kid Jerry, a student at her school, is basically the biggest drug dealer in town. Also, looking back, I know he had a crush on Amber too, and probably always resented that I got to be in a relationship with her and he didn't. Maybe it's because she knows quality, you jerk. I was interested in learning that Jerry's mom was now on the school board. I didn't tell Amber about this all right away. I just asked her to let me know what she remembered about Miss Jerry's mom. She told me that Jerry's mom was always really mean to her and often one of the main instigators in getting everyone, the adults, on campus to exclude her from teacher social activities. It's one of the main reasons why Amber didn't make friends with the other teachers. Amber tells me that the male teachers tended to be nicer to her at first, but the female teachers overwhelmingly despised her before they even knew her. Jerry's mom, Amber told me, was also the teacher she knows who started a petition not to renew her contract for a second year at the school. This was the first I heard about this. Evidently, only a few female teachers signed the petition, but the petition was placed in Amber's permanent file as evidence that the staff lacks confidence in her. They were basically setting her up to be fired even though she was doing a good job at teaching and the students liked her. Well, I'm more Cali than Iowa these days, but I still keep in touch with a few friends, now grown up, I knew in school, including Gabe, the drummer from our old band. From what I hear, Jerry manages the burger joint I used to work at, because the old guy who owns it is retired. I have a social media account, but only use it to contact people in emergencies. I never update anything. My profile is practically blank online. I'm not one of those people who checks it daily or uploads pics of my lunch. Didn't post about marrying or having kids or moving to LA. I told people matter directly. Jerry was still my friend on social media even though we stopped talking ages ago. So I clicked his profile. Yep, he definitely managed the old place of employment. I clicked on his friends and family's profiles and recognized his mom, my old history teacher. She was on the school board now, sanctimonious as ever. I think I mentioned before that I came from a small town, and in a small town, there often isn't anything for bored kids to do other than do dumb stunts or do drugs. And for the biggest loser kids of all, the group that included me, we were dumb enough to record ourselves partying and talking junk and doing that aforementioned drugs. That's exactly what my band used to do all the time. Whenever we had a show, we'd go around taping ourselves using our cell phones. We'd take a video of us rocking out, skating, drinking beer at the vacant lot, take video of us getting high. We'd also talk to the camera. I hadn't thought about the old recordings in years, but I never erased them from my old phones. I'm the kind of guy who hoards his cell phones, not because I think they will increase the value or that I find them especially interesting, but I kind of think of them like file cabinets of my past because I don't erase anything, aside from phone numbers. I don't really transfer data on one phone to a successor, easy as it would be. My current boss knows I used to do drugs, and they don't care. In IT, I'm told everyone used to get lit, and many still do. I asked my wife offhand if her new job knows about what happened in our old town. She says yeah, but they don't care about any of that. They only care that she teaches expert level conversational French. That's what their clients, many of them traveling professionals, demand. Many of her co-workers, she tells me, had a few felonies on their records, but her employer was a firm believer in rehabilitation, copacetic. So I check some of my old videos and find what I need. I have no trouble finding videos of Jerry getting high as a mother effer. That was practically every video, and in practically every video, he brags about his parents know he's a druggie and a dealer and want to ship him off to the army and make a man out of him. The video I really want is, nope, it's not on this phone. Maybe the LG? Nope, just more of Jerry rolling on ecstasy at a rave we snuck in out of state to attend when we were in 11th grade. Maybe my old Galaxy? Bingo. Jerry talks about how his mom knows all about the drug use and sometimes even smokes weed herself with his dad, and how they caught him with cocaine once and yelled at him and his dad kicked his butt. But then Jerry came home the next day from school to find his mom was coked out on the kitchen table and that she had called in sick that day. The video was time-stamped. I think that'll do. I still don't tell Amber. It would only upset her in her condition. But I asked my mom to contact the info of all the people who run the little town school board. I already know the school's basic email address, and I graduated not too long ago, and so most of the administrators are still mid-career at my former high school. I still have their emails. I make a throwaway email account and attach the relevant video to it and send it to everyone that matters in town. All the teachers, the administrators, even from the elementary and middle schools. The church, the pizza place, the burger joint owner, the roller rink boss, you name it, they got the files. The files where Jerry exposes himself as a coked out drug dealer with his mom having full knowledge of the fact and her husband even indulging in the drugs himself. The next day, Amber asks me while she's feeding our son, "Honey, why are you so happy?" I tell her and she starts crying. "No, I'm not sad," she reassures me. "I'm just so happy you did this for me." Then me, Amber, Rachule, and our bun in the oven goes for a walk because such a nice day. Still, need a haircut. Not getting one. Do I even need to say what happened afterward? All this ancient history shouldn't matter, but in a small town, it's devastating. The videos are just of Jerry talking trash. Who knows if they even tell the truth? Doesn't matter. In a small town, gossip becomes gospel. Kind of how everyone believed me and Amber were screwing before I turned 18, even though that was 0% true and they ran us out of town on a rail. My parents had to endure the fallout of my disgrace when I left town years ago with my French tramp, as all the idle busybodies have dubbed my wife. My mom and dad made their peace with it and have numbed themselves to the slurs, and always stood up for us. They are what's good about small town America. Jerry got fired from his job, police searched his house, and that is to say, his mom's house, and found a lot of drugs. Evidently, when the rumors went flying that Miss Jerry's mom had a drug-dealing son, kids busted for drugs at the high school caved under pressure to admit who hooked them up. Oopsie, so he was telling the truth. Jail for you, cock-blocking D-bag. His mom was summarily dismissed from her job, along with the appropriate blacklisting that being a drug-abusing, child-endangering, fraud-committing public official essentials. My mom wasn't clear on the details, but there's a possibility she and her husband might face jail time too. It came out that Jerry's dad had been cheating on his wife for years with a woman from the church. Jerry's whole family and persona non grata. They want to leave town but can't pending court case. Until then, they'll just be hated to their face. I'll hate them from across the country. Small town. Everyone knows everyone. Or at least their business. Which means sooner or later, word will slip. People will drop the "it's confidential" charade and figure out that I was responsible for a family's downfall. I don't give a freak. Jerry, you listening? Good. Come at me, bro. Remember at the beginning when I said I knew this had to be a good story? That was an understatement. I know like 3 stories ago I said that was my favorite story about the teacher, but this teacher story is even better. This is crazy. This is written like a novel almost. I cannot believe he sent that video to everyone, like the freaking owner of the burger place too, and the church people. That sabotage, that revenge. This is not ProRevenge. He's not a professional. This is nuclear revenge. He nuked that entire family's life. They got exactly what was coming to him. Jerry for being a snitch, his mom for being a snitch to the school goddamn council, Jerry's dad just cause he's Jerry's dad cheating. I enjoyed this story to an extreme amount. I'm saving this. Again guys, thank you so much for watching. If you like the robot voice videos, remember that is on our second channel. This channel from now on is going to be me reading with my voice or reacting to other videos and stuff from Reddit. Thank you guys so much for staying to the end of this long video. This will probably be the longest video I have ever made so far, aside from my live streams obviously. If you are subscribed or if you are not subscribed, remember to hit that bell and hit to get all notifications. I do post once a day on this account. Thank you guys again for watching and listening to this amazing story about this crazy entitled gossipy witch. I hope I see you guys next time, and goodbye.